Check. The Tome of Fates. Some say I have tomes in my fates. Brr. Zinch Sorcerer.
I've been doing.
I don't care where you've been going. Advertisement. The Tome of Fates. Alright. Our audio's good. Let's find the games we're supposed to be doing. Is this it? Is this it? Yes, this is it. Oh look, it's me on the thumbnail. What up, Max? How you doing? We'll get started in a second. I'm gonna grab a beverage while people gather, but we're not gonna delay for too long. Turn streaming in like an hour, and then my viewership's just gonna tank, so we gotta get in before that. BRB. All right. People have had, what up, Lascotch? People have had approximately 5 seconds to gather, so that's plenty of time. It's time to move. We got a motor. So, introduction, if you have not been a part of the World Cup live streams so far, either the first World Cup we did or the 3 streams that have gone by so far, welcome. These are short, roughly about 1 hour streams. They're kind of replacing our daily videos for a little bit as we get through the World Cup. You can see the bracket in front of you right here. It is a best of 5 single elimination tournament to the very end. We had 17 teams sign up. We're currently in a stage where, you know, there's 16 teams left. Right. Today we're going to cast Hauptschweiz, which is Swiss for Go Switzerland, versus USA 1. They also called themselves the Last Alliance, which is a reference to Lord of the Rings. Here's the bracket for today. At the top, you see 2 factions, the Empire and Ogre Kingdoms. Each team gets 1 global ban. Global ban just means neither team can play either of these factions. So even if you're the team that banned Empire, you're also banning yourself from playing Empire. So we will not see Empire or Ogre Kingdoms today. There are 5 games split between Conquest, Domination, and Land Battles. We'll get to see all 3 game modes. All 5 games were played, and we are going to cast all 5 no matter what. Even if the score is 5-0, 4-1, or 3-2, it does not matter. We'll cast all 5 games. People took the time out of their busy schedules to play, so we will cast the games that they did. Right. On the left is Team Switzerland. We have Olaf the Moose, Adler, Attack Speed Enjoyer, Pope Patty, and Sipa. And the side for the USA 1/Last Alliance, we have Gotrek, Starbreaker, Rider of Rohan, Maximillionaire, Hitman, Hippo, and War God. YouTube. Yar. That's about all there is to it. You can't play the same faction on your team, so if Gotrek plays Dwarves, Rider, Maximillionaire, Hitman, Hippo, and War God are all forbidden from playing Dwarves, because they are a team. Okay, so how many factions do we have today, just to be curious? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. Okay. All right. All right. I dipped into a different group. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where's the 5th game? I don't know. Whatever. Never mind. I was just trying to be nice, but the replays are scattered all over the damn place. So we'll get to them when we get to them. First up is Olaf the Moose versus Gotrek Starbreaker. Let me find that. I was just hovering it. There it is. Dark Elves Beastmen to start us off. Hit the game, get rid of the blockers, and we're off. Yo, Autumn. Hey, Milky Way. All right. Olaf, bring in some Dark Elf skirmishy type tactics, and Doomfire Warlocks are making like their 3rd comeback. I swear these guys like show up in the meta and people are like, they're not that bad, and they disappear for months, and then they show back up and people are like, wow, they're not that bad, and they disappear for months. But they're here. They're good in this matchup. Beastmen don't have high armor values, so their physical resistance and better stats will be helpful overall. Plus, there are some Slaanesh units now on the Beastmen that have a little bit of physical resistance, so I guess the magic damage doesn't hurt. For Olaf, we have a bit of Kite, as I mentioned. Siren of Red Ruin, Bloodrack, Medusa, ROR. We have Melkoths and Soulstealer Marathi, then Doomfire Warlocks and Dark Riders, and a couple Blackheart Corsair Hambos with just 2 Dread Spears for a bit of a front line. And outside for the Beastmen, it is not Kite. It is mostly melee rush with some archers in the background, just in case of Hydras, which have been making a bit of a comeback. Slongor and Ungor Spearman Herd front lines, double Chimera in the sky. Then we have some Razorgore herds for a bit of mass, Ungor Spearman, triple Archer, and Malagor Dark Omen with just Flock of Doom. Very limited mobility on the Beastmen side. No Centaurs at all, which is very unusual. No Minotaurs either. So really relying on just the Chimeras and the Pigs to deal with this. But that will mean the Doomfire Warlocks are largely free to cycle charge as they see fit, as they're going to try and catch some Razorgore herds out now with a bit of Soul Blight action down. But the Slongors are pretty hard to outrun for the Blackheart Corsair Hambos, so the Doomfire Warlocks are forced to at least engage once in a while to keep the Blackheart Corsair Hambos a little safe from these Slongors. Their lesser Doombolts bound flying in. Bloodrock Medusa does get caught out, surrounded by enemy infantry and dueling with a Chimera. While she is an anti-large armor-piercing duelist in theory, she just tends to not perform that well in 1v1s with big monsters. And the Chimera does not have anti-large, but oh boy does he have the stats to be a great duelist. So she's kind of getting her ass kicked right now. Pretty tough time for Bloodrock Medusa, and a rough start for the Dark Elves, honestly, as Marathi loses half her HP. She does have Soul Stealer to heal herself back up, but she doesn't really want to use it. With life leeching, she just wants to cast as many cheap spells in a row as possible. She doesn't really want to use that big Soul Stealer to heal herself up. She can, which is why she brought it, but she'd much rather just spam out Melkoths the whole game. So a bit of a rough start here for the Dark Elves. Beastmen do have a bit of a shotgun composition, though, so it is going to look bad at first as they make initial contact, but if the Dark Elves can weather the storm and hold on, their superior mobility and ranged prowess could help them in the late game. If you get down to just a bunch of Ungor Spearmen trying to chase, you can cycle charge and kite them out pretty easily. Whereas the Beastmen really need to win these early engagements, because once they lose momentum, it's going to be really hard to get it back with a speed differential. More Doombolts coming for the Chimera, trying to snipe him out a little bit. It's Doomfire Warlocks try and finish off Slongors. But these little immune to psychology gores in here just going nuts. The Doomfire Warlocks have incredibly low armor, which does mean that the Slongors can get good damage on them, unlike Cold One Knights that would be a little tankier in these situations. Bounce power continues to shift against the Dark Elves as the Chimeras are still very healthy. And one is still beating up Marathi, and I haven't seen her emergency Soul Stealer in a while. And her health bar shows that she really needs to back off or cast the Soul Stealer, but she is not going to. She just goes face first into the Chimera, then ends up terror routing. And with Malagor nearby, she's not going to rally. He has way superior speed, so you can just run her down, whether he kills her or not, which he should be able to kill her, but whether he kills her or not, she's not going to be able to come back to the battlefield. So that's a pretty huge loss for the Dark Elves, and probably a nail in the coffin for them starting off this game. Oh, what? How did she rally? What was that? What? How did... I mean, she routed again anyway. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. How did that happen? Okay, army losses is happening. I just want to see that again. It was at like 3 minutes, 40 seconds. How did she come back? You turning in, seeing the banners and thinking High Elves. High Elves have dark banners? Knighthood. It's a betrayal. Actually, that's fair. The High Elf banner I usually run is that, I think it's the Fortress of Dawn, but I might be wrong. It's the blue banner with like the red streaks in it. I like that banner. I remember not being impressed with the actual color scheme on my soldiers, but I just love the banner. Banner's metal as fuck. I know we're rewatching the same game. I just want to triple fast forward until the point where Marathi routed, because I really don't know how she came back. That was weird. It didn't matter, but it was weird. Yada, yada, yada. We're about 40 seconds from the incident. So she charges into the Chimera, gets her ass completely kicked, and then she runs. Now, how does this happen? Oh, she just never actually routed? Are you serious? You're serious? She has 22 leadership right now? That's okay. Okay. All right. No. Okay. Okay. No, that's fine. No. You do you. Okay. Yeah. Actually, wait. We didn't ever do the values, so I'm going to let the game finish out so we can actually see the post-game screen. That's crazy. That's crazy that she didn't actually route. Strong start for Team America / The Last Alliance. Pretty good spread value across the Dark Elves. No real winners or losers. So, you know, they all did okay. The other side for the Beastmen, Slongors, the Ungor Spearman herds. So far, not too impressed with their values, but not terrible either. Ungor Raiders also did fine, I guess. Razorgore herds did fine. There we go. One of the Chimeras got 2,600. There's where a lot of your value is. And then Malagor, of course, getting about 1,000. Over to the desktop. Here we go. And now I need to select one of the topmost layers. There we are. So let's do our red for bam! And then we'll do our green for ba-bam! Good game one, but there's 4 games left to go. Swiss can turn it around. Maybe, possibly, potentially. Beastmen versus Dark Elves. Delete that one. Next up, I'm looking for Adler versus Rider. Mr. Adler versus Rider. We have more elves and greenskins. But which elves is it? It's wood elves. Mr. Adler with some snotling pump wagons. Bold. And Ryder with just as many infantry as he can get his claws on, and then just a couple super light cav. I feel gut instinct is that the greenskins are very happy with what they see when they load it in, but we'll see. We have a Blade Wind caster for Ryder Vrohan, then a Glade Captain. What the hell is this build with Dance of Loic? So a little bit of poke there. And then it's just a crap ton of blockers and archers. We have the Race of the Frozen Heart and then 5 Eternal Guard. We have a bunch of Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts and Hagbane Tips mixed between, and then 4 Glade Riders with Spears. The other side for the Greenskins, we have a front line of Orc Boys, backed up by the RORs the Greenskins love so much, the Rusty Arrows, Ruglan's Armored Orcs, and the Hammer of Gork. Triple Snotling Pump Wagon with their Flappas, Orc Boys, and Savage Orc Boar Boys. And then we have Azhag to Slaughter on foot with Fate of Buna that is probably meant for the Wild Hunters of Kurnos, who are not here. So I imagine instead he'll probably throw that onto a random archer or onto the Race of the Frozen Heart. All right, Snotling Pump Wagons, if you are ever going to be good, ever, this is the game for you. You're against a metric shit ton of low health, low mass infantry. Please do something useful, as you have horrible speed, apparently. That does not look like 77 speed, as they just get shredded on the way in. Impact damage is okay at best, and they're already routing. The other 2 Snotling Pump Wagons are trying to get involved. Boar Boys are taking a long flanking route, but the ones on the super far side are going to be quite a while before they join the rest of us, as one of the Pump Wagons that haven't routed yet are both fighting Glade Riders at the moment. Doing okay damage, but it's looking a bit tough. The Greenskin front line is getting absolutely massacred, and the Boar Boys doing the flanking haven't arrived yet, which is proving to be a little painful. Race to the Frozen Heart getting charged by Savage Orc Boar Boys, but the Wraiths do have magic damage, bypassing the physical resistance of the Savage Orcs, and their 35 armor is no defense. They do try and back off, and there's the fate of Bune onto the Race to the Frozen Heart. I was right that Azhag was going to quickly try and deal with them as one of the few expensive-ish units you can target with that Fate of Buna. Hammer of Gork is under attack. Both the archers have also been harassed a bit. Ruglin's Armored Orcs routing, while it looks like the Rusty Arrows are still with us. So the Greenskin backline is having a tough time, though they didn't exactly draft to defend their backline. They draft to harass yours, so let's see how that goes. It's not like pump wagons riding in, doing okay damage, considering how cheap they are. And these archers are just screwed at this point. Even if they're not immediately dead, they're going to have such a hard time finding somewhere to fight. So everything in this section is doomed for the Dark Elves. Wood Elves. Dark Elves. Dark Elves. Anyway, for the Wood Elves, everything over here is doomed. So this on my screen now is what they have to win the rest of the game with. And that actually seems to be going pretty well. This flank is still holding together. A lot of the Greenskins have been pushed away or are currently being blocked up. We still have 3-ish. If you combine all their health bars, 3 archers left. 3 Eternal Guards still doing well. Still have some Glade Riders, and then your Lord and your Glade Captain are obviously doing fine. Greenskins are behind on the balance of power just a little bit, and I would tend to agree. Their front line got massacred, and one of their flanks didn't go super well, so it's not exactly shocking they're put behind at the moment as they charge straight into these Glade Guard. Good impact damage, and gonna rout off those 2 archers, so good picks, good picks. This is Conquest. Wood Elves currently hold the point. Greenskins might want to throw a couple infantry at it just real quick and capture that in case this game goes long. Similar to what we were talking about in the previous one with the Beastmen versus the Dark Elves. If this game goes incredibly long, your opponent could maybe kite this out because their caster and their hero are both mounted, so they could just run you around forever. And I suppose you have a bunch of boar boys. You can maybe run their archers down, but I get concerned. It doesn't hurt to just capture the point quick and make sure that the timer is in your favor. And it does seem to be what the Greenskins are going to try and do, just capture that real quick before pivoting. So both sides have finished cleaning up their respective sections of the map. The Wood Elves cleaning up the right flank, Greenskins left, and now they have new battle lines that are now left to right instead of forward to back. Greenskins setting up their next charge as the Wood Elves take the time that they can to just sit and fire, getting the damage out before chaos ensues again. It does seem to be working out well for them. Greenskins taking a hell of a beating to get here. Glade Riders block up Orc Boar Boys. The Orc Boar Boys are next to Azhag, which does give them a little bit more leadership. Does not last long as it's not like pump wagons go straight through some unbraced Eternal Guard, get decent-ish damage, and they'll want to keep moving and not get stuck in those cheap anti-armor spears. Orc Boys getting routed off, Boar Boys getting routed off. We still have 2 Orc Boys that are relatively healthy, and they're going to be important for putting constant pressure on these archers if the cavalry can't just sit in spears and deal with this. And the archers are once again disrupted. We have a couple firing over here, which is pretty good, but of the 3 archers that are here, 2 are currently in distress. We have Eternal Guard that are in really good situations. They love fighting the cavalry, but the Wood Elf army in general needs the archers to be firing. It doesn't necessarily need spearmen to be poking at large targets. That's great, that's cool, but the archers are the real DPS here. Orc Boar Boys peeling off of a charge. I wonder if they'll run down these Glade Guard that have rallied, or if they're going to turn around and recharge the Eternal Guard that are taking out the Snotling Pump Wagons. Savage Orc Boar Boys also falling behind, and Grace is down here. What do you want? What's happening? What's going on? What? You didn't see me do the moves meds. Do you need me to do the moves meds?
No, I'm just asking.
I didn't see it. I didn't do it. I've been down here.
I thought maybe you.
I ate my yogurt, and then I played, and then I'm doing this.
Yogi!
Yogi!
Who is winning?
Currently it looks like the red team. Quick, name this person. That guy.
Cherith.
Oh, wow, Cherith. All right, name... We gotta find another thing for you to name. Name that guy, the one on the left. That guy.
Richard.
Richard? I think he looks like a Boglebin.
No.
Boglebin.
He wants you to think he looks like a Boglebin.
All right. Name that guy.
Ew. Max.
And what about the piggy he's riding?
Slagathor.
Slagathor. That's fun. That's nice. Okay.
Puppy here.
There's a puppy here. That's nice. Sure, that's nice for everybody, but I do gotta keep streaming or Turin's gonna catch me. Okay, goodbye.
Stay in here.
All right. Balance of power shifted pretty heavily against the Greenskins as their second charge is failing. They have a lot of banners going up that are pretty bad, and we have some Forest Goblin Spider Riders in the background that are definitely needed over here, but they currently seem to just be lost in the sauce a little bit. Balance power is slightly fraudulent, just because the Spellweaver of Dark is full health, and when everything else in the game is so tattered, that's a lot of balance of power, but she's not actually going to be that useful in the grand scheme of things. She's not going to be good at fighting any of the Greenskin units that actually have HP. She's just going to be good at running stuff off, and Azhag can actually whoop her ass in a duel. So, a little fraudulent for the Wood Elves, but I do agree overall that they are ahead right now. We still have one healthy Orc Boy, and unfortunately the Greenskins did not actually take the point, so now they're on a timer, because they can't go back and take the point now, or the archers will just reform and shoot the shit out of them. So it's not like they can just sit on the points. They do need to chase the Wood Elves and harass them. But the problem is that if they get drawn away from the point, the Wood Elves can win by just not dying. Whereas previously, if you had the point and you're chasing the Wood Elves would have to win by somehow either killing you, which is very possible, or getting around you, sneaking back here and capturing the point. So it would have put more pressure on them. But now the pressure's on the Greenskins to win fast, because capturing is just not an option. What up, Synth the Lion? So Azhag's chasing archers around, which is fine. He is going to take some damage. Wood Elf archers are very, very good, very cost-effective little guys, but he is still a foot lord, which makes it hard for the arrows to hit him as long as he is far away and moving around, which he is doing both of those things. Still has some Orc Boar Boys to help him out a little bit. I imagine both these archers will switch their targets onto the Boar Boys. Yeah, they just want to take out any mobility that could potentially run them down. Bronze shields, a little bit of armor, but that won't help that much against these very strong Wood Elf archers. Just because they're cheap doesn't mean they're bad. Gladeguard are some of the best in the business. Good charge from the pigs. They are about to rout. Once their charge bonus wears off, there they go. They're going to rout, and that's probably GG. Yeah, it looks like Greenskins throwing the towel. They had a half-health Spider Rider. They had a full-health Orc Boy, but the rest of the game was just going to be them walking towards the Wood Elves who were kiting them out, and they didn't have the capture point, so... yeah. One day you want a boar named Herman? That's a good name for a boar. Both the Greenskin archers just got immediately massacred by the Wood Elf charge into their lines. Boar Boys did fine. Snarling Pump Wagons, one of them paid for itself. The other two really didn't do too much, unfortunately, for them. And then Hammer of Gork also got shut down very quickly. Max Millionaire said Pump Wagons are bad in land battles. I don't know if I'd say bad, but on a scale of 10 or 5, if 5 is like this unit is neutral, it's okay, right? I'd say Pump Wagons are like a 4 in land battles. Like, they just take too much damage for what they do, and I don't know. They're not great. I think they're better in Dom because of their cheap price point. You can summon them where you need them, and then their quick response time to like get to places you need them to be, or to harass infantry that are capturing points. But in land battles and conquest, when you both have set armies, it's like, so they're there at the start of the game, and they're very easy to target and just kill, as we saw. Archers, most of them doing pretty darn well value-wise. Caster and Hero did okay. Glade Riders did fine. Race the Frozen Heart did fine. Eternal Guard did fine. GG's. GG's. So that'll be a green check mark for old Adler. And that'll be a red X from a Boy Rider. On to the domination games. Attack Speed Enjoyer versus Max. Road to Talabheim. Let's go find it. Max is in the chat, so I'll be sure to be as negative as possible versus him. Because we're just dicks. There's Pope Patty versus Hitman Hippo. There's Attack Speed versus Max. So we get Slaanesh versus Vampire Counts, but that is a wild Nakari pick. I'm not as familiar with the domination meta, I'm first to admit that, but I don't see a lot of Nakari out of Slaanesh. Normally when I see Slaanesh, I mean, we see the mask, but the mask got banned because I just copy pasted what some of the domination admins for Turns tournaments use. And they banned the mask, so I banned it. I could see why. It's a fast foot lord with healing Mortis engine. It's pretty annoying. Anyway, without that from Slaanesh, you sometimes see the Exalted Keeper of Secrets for their AoE Rampage. You sometimes see Heralds of Slaanesh. Mostly I still see Azazel or the Sorcerer Lord that's mortal. So anyway, main point, I don't see a lot of Nakari. I get it in this matchup though. Versus the Undead, it's a lot easier to guarantee your heal, which in mortal matchups can be really tough because you have to kill every single model before you proc that heal. Whereas the Undead are unbreakable. They'll stay in the fight and just die in front of you, so Nakari can get a nice juicy heal off of it. I like it. I just don't see it a lot. Anyway, for starting rosters, we have a Devotee of Slaanesh with crossbows, then a bunch of Chaos Warriors of Slaanesh, and a couple Devoted Marauders here and there, but mostly a heavy metal front line to protect the archers. Riders of the Mighty Serpent, Marauder Horseman ROR, and then Nakari. Very expensive start. Very expensive infantry. Devotees are not cheap, as I've complained about many times, and Nakari is, of course, super expensive. So I think Slaanesh will be summoning in super cheap stuff here soon with Hellstriders and I guess Marauders probably. On the other side for the Vampire counts, the exact opposite. Instead of a bunch of expensive stuff, we have a horde of cheap things. Double White King, both with Scab Scraith on horseback, a Vargulf, Manfred von Karstein with Spirit Leech, Fate of Buna, Summon, and Invocation and Heck. He is on horseback. And then 5 zombies, 3 skeletons, all with spears, double Corpse Cart, both with Unholy Lodestones, and 2 Crypt Horrors already. Whereas Slaanesh started with quality, Vampire Count started with quantity. 4 single entities versus 1, and then 9 infantry versus 5. Well, 8 infantry. Slight miscount. Devotees, normally I would tell archers to shoot the corpse carts first. That just seems like common logic because they're going to heal up the rest of the army. But the devotees have such limited ammunition, I honestly don't know what they should be shooting. Because if they shoot zombies, they're going to run out of ammo so damn quickly. So they need to shoot at something else. But it's like, all right, do you waste all your ammo on the corpse cart, and then that was all you did is kill a corpse cart, maybe 2, and that was it for the devotees? I don't know. I guess you could shoot the crypt horrors. That's fine. It's probably your best option. Then after that, I do like the devotees in this matchup, because then they're pretty okay melee stats. After they use all their ammo, they could just become like a Blackheart Corsair type unit and fight zombies and shit. That's fine. There's a lot of matchups where I think the devotees suck. The Vampire Counts is not one of them. Slaanesh been summoning in anything yet I haven't noticed? Ooh, the Pleasure Guard, Champions of Slaanesh, so going even more elite. Really not wanting to spread out just yet. I think they're maybe concerned about a Mortis engine play, so they don't want too many units to just blob up on a Mortis engine and die. We'll see. So the Pleasure Guard are in here somewhere. Riders of the Mighty Serpent currently blocked up on zombies as they try and get through. Nakari's just cycle charging around, enjoying his life. He's going to get vigor and healing from that zombie dying near him, though he doesn't really need the healing just yet. And more Crypt Horrors getting summoned from Max. So that seems to be his play. He wants to get more regenerating mass out here. Makes sense. Just get some really good staying power now that your zombies have reached the points. Slightly concerning is Slaanesh did start the game with 2 captures, and they're working on a triple cap, so the Vampire Counts will have to push them off, which is, you know, Vampire Counts normally can do that, but I do think Vampires are a little more comfortable if they start with the captures, and then you have to push them away, because then they just grind you down, but we'll see how they do. Nakari jumps in. He is in a 4v1 as far as single entities go, and yeah, he's going to opt out, decides he doesn't want that anymore, and maybe goes and looks for a heal somewhere else. Meanwhile, the devotees are trying to shoot the corpse cart, so yeah, they're going to use all their ammunition. They're already almost out, and the value is underwhelming in my opinion, but at least in domination, they are going to be useful after they run out of ammo, unlike land battles, where when they run out of ammo, they're fucking useless. Nakari again ends up in this 4v1, and he's having just a really hard time finding any good engagements that are away from all 4 single entities of Max. It's brutal. I don't exactly know what he is going to do. Instead, he charges back into some zombies, and he does have his own Mortis engine if your leadership is low, which versus the undead is pretty common. They run out of leadership all the time. Oof. He's draining down a ton of stuff right now, and yeah, the White Kings, the Bargulf, and Manfred all respond. Wherever Nakari goes, they're going to be close behind and try and push him away. And Crypt Horrors might actually lock him in place a bit. Black Knights with Lances and Barding are also here for a bit more mass, and in come the Dire Pack. The Dire Pack are spooky for Nakari, just a little bit. His incredibly low armor does mean that they can just leverage their full weapon strength against him a lot of the time, so Nakari has to be careful not to just like run into them willy-nilly. It's not like they'll 1v1 him, but they'll definitely trade up in cost considering how cheap they are and how expensive he is. Now Slaanesh is starting to do what I thought they would do. We're getting a bunch more cheap infantry now. I saw 3 Slaangors have been summoned at this point, maybe just 2. Oh, there's the 3rd. So Slaangor is coming in hot. Really wants to get more anti-infantry capacity towards these points, and also just to keep holding the points, because Slaanesh has actually currently got a triple cap, and they can't hold point 1. That's about to flip, but they have a pretty significant ticket advantage, and the vampire counts are not known for being fast. So if you can just hold the ticket advantage for a little bit longer, you can actually put yourself in a situation where they have to triple cap you and win the game. And the vampire counts are just not great at like quick turnover on points. Witstealer Sword is popped, and Nakari jumps in onto Manfred, still getting very low on HP and getting Spirit Leeched right now. Again, those 4 single entities are here, and again, Nakari might be forced away. Haven't seen a lot of big heals on Nakari yet. Needs to make sure to position Nakari near where zombies are going to die. We do have a Seeker summon that jumps in on the Black Knight's Lances and Barding, getting really good damage out, but the Dire Pack are feasting upon their souls, and the Seekers are going to try and piece out of here. I actually don't know if they're faster than the Dire Pack. 81 speed to 140. Yeah, he give them sweet sorrow to get them out of there. Realized that was a bad situation for those guys. Riders of the Mighty Serpent were getting some shots off, and then zombies summoned upon them, so they need to back off. Nakari still really struggling to get away from these single entities, and still the zombies next to him will not die and give him that sweet, sweet heal he so craves. Attack Speed Enjoyer is lagging a little bit on damage value, which is extra concerning considering the vampire counts usually have a crap ton of healing, so you do need to be ahead of them to really feel it. Hellstriders are summoned in to help the Seekers out. Seekers are about to demonic instability crumble as they fight the Dire Pack. Still, Nakari is taking damage, but I finally saw his heal proc off of a zombie dying. Still, the Vargulf is on his ass. Still, his HP is very low, and his leadership is actually becoming a concern, because if he demonic instability crumbles himself, then it doesn't matter how much healing he could have gotten. What matters is he's not going to get it. Mortis Engine Summon does come in the late game, and this is a great opportunity for it. The battle lines have just descended into a horrible blob over here, and the Mortis Engine is going to feast upon their souls. As long as it doesn't get stuck in that one random Slaangor, everything else around here is getting sucked. And there goes Nakari. Nakari is currently getting a heal, but his leadership is just too low, so the demonic instability is going faster than his heal is, and doesn't look like he'll recover anytime soon. Pretty big loss there for Slaanesh, and huge win for the vampire counts, especially having this Mortis Engine out and about. But the Pleasure Guards seem to have something to say about it. With their low model count and their very high weapon strength, they can just isolate the Mortis Engine and beat the piss out of it without worrying about getting caught in zombies or worrying about getting drained down too hard. So they're going to try and take it out. Then some Hellstriders jump in to try and help out, though the Pleasure Guard do seem to get distracted. Ooh, really like good saturation and surround from the Hellstriders though, so a lot of models making contact. They'll rip it down. So still a bigger win for the vampire counts to kill Nakari, but nice job from Slaanesh. Immediately knocking out the Mortis Engine as soon as it came into the game was nice and big. And we can see exactly what we were talking about at the start of the game. The vampire counts were doing fine on value. Now all of a sudden Attack Speed Enjoyer took a leap ahead, right? But they just have such a slow and hard time grinding Slaanesh off these points that Slaanesh has maintained this double capture and even gets a triple cap again, and those tickets are just going up and up and up. So while the Slaanesh health bars are looking actually pretty bad, and the vampire counts have a lot of healing left to them, they have a lot of infantry left through either Manfred summons or through their own, you know, normal summons. You see the zombies wandering up. If this game goes on forever, I actually believe in the vampire counts to win, but obviously Slaanesh likes to play a game a little faster, and that early double cap into triple cap really helping out. Max is beaten up on the Pleasure Guard, still trying to get through these Chaos Warriors, which he is having a tough time. I don't see any Graveguard with great weapons, so his infantry have had a really bad time killing these Chaos Warriors, and his Mortis Engine obviously wanted to deal with them, but we saw what happened to the Mortis Engine. And that Mortis Engine play ended up actually being a huge deal. At the time, losing Nakari I thought was a bigger deal than the Mortis Engine, but I think for their place in the composition, yes, Nakari is worth more money, but I think the Mortis Engine was more important to Maximillionaire's game plan than Nakari was to attack speeds. Nakari seemed nice, but not critical. The critical thing was getting the infantry on the point first, holding position, and making sure the Mortis Engine couldn't drain down your Chaos Warriors. And without the Mortis Engine, your Chaos Warriors are nearly invincible. I think that was attack speed's play. So it's weird to have like a 3,000 gold Lord not matter, but I actually don't think Nakari mattered now that I'm looking back on it. And that's definitely hindsight. At the time, I was really concerned when Nakari died. But that is what it is. Attack speed, maintaining about a 1,000 damage value advantage. Again, with the vampire counts healing, I actually don't think that's that big of a deal. Looking at the stuff that's actually on the battlefield, if it wasn't domination, you take points out of it, I would rather be the vampire counts than Slaanesh with the units currently on the field. I think the vampire counts would eventually win, but that's not the state we're in. We did have some Crypt Ghoul summons trying to sneak through the back line. They do capture 1 point, which is a blessing. Vampire counts need a triple cap to win at this point, but they also just needed to stop the bleeding because the triple cap was ending the game very quickly. They now need to slow this down. So now they have 120 seconds. They have 2 minutes left before this game ends. Ooh, 1 minute though, because it's double ticking. So yeah, they need to capture another point to buy themselves more time. A summon is out. Summons don't have any capture weight, but we do have 4 single entities on this point, and now 2 healthy Crypt Ghouls have walked over. And they're also going to provide their capture weight. Slaanesh has 2 half-health-ish infantry and then a bunch of dead stuff. So yeah, vampires have higher capture weight here, but an annoying Pleasure Seeker summon comes in. Looks like they're going to rampage the Crypt Ghouls and get a beautiful charge on them. Just going to knock HP off, reduce the capture weight of the vampire counts, and let the tickets continue to creep upwards. Manfred, the Vargulfs, the White Kings doing what they can to try and get back in this game, but it's just not going to happen. Point 1 is held by these Slongors, which are massacring infinite zombies and getting very little value for it. But you can see they have 160 kills. That's good. Vampires may be going to take the second point before the game ends, but it will not stop them because they need a triple cap to win, and that's just not going to happen. What teams is what? Attack speed enjoyer, I believe, was Swiss, and Maximilianaire is American. So Nakari had a tough time. Max very effectively shut Nakari down. Wherever he went was a bad time, but there's a reason a lot of domination players still fear Slaanesh or ban Slaanesh or do whatever they can about Slaanesh, and it's the rest of the roster just performed so well. So, didn't need Nakari. Manfred got really good value. Both the White Kings also did well. Skeletons and Zombies not going to get a lot of damage value, but that's also not their job. Vargulf did nicely. And then the Mortis Engine with only 400 value. That pick on it was brutal. So GG's. GG's. All right. That is a loss. And then a win. Swiss are up 2-1. When it started out so strong with Gotrek getting the win, we thought the Swiss were down. We thought the Swiss were out. Turns out we were wrong. 2-1 to the Swiss. If Pope, Patty, or Sipa take a game, the Swiss will advance. But I don't know. We have Hitman, Hippo, and War God. I don't know. Maybe they can do something. Maybe they can... I mean, Hitman's good. I've actually literally never seen Pope Patty play, so I don't know how good or bad they are, but Hitman's pretty solid. We can put some eggs in the hippo basket. I got to delete this one and grab this one. Pope Patty going with Bretonia versus Hitman Hippo's Slaanesh. So the Slaaneshes have switched sides. This tournament, we've seen a lot of Slaanesh getting banned, and I think we can see why. They're clearly a strong faction, especially in the domination realm, but not bad in land battles or conquest either. I think they're a pretty mid-tier faction in land battles and conquest, but high tier in domination makes them a strong pick overall. So, if you want the last game to be what it's all decided by, you are rooting for Slaanesh to take a second game in a row, or if you want this just to be done and over for the Swiss side, then you're rooting for the brave Knights of Bretonia. Similar-ish strategy to the last game. We do see a heavy metal frontline start, a lot of Chaos Warriors, and then we have Strykar on his Doot Snake. Go Doot Snake. He has his Explosion, and then his Sign of Depravity, so he's just going to be kind of a duelist slash frontline grinder. And then there we go, Herald of Slaanesh with Rampage and Acquiescence, Fury Summon, and Locus of Grace as well. Much more used to seeing that than Nakari. On the other side, we have Alberic de Bordelot on his Pegasus. That's wild. I generally think the Pegasus mounts are trash because you lose your armor piercing, but whatever. Guess he wanted him to be cheap and fast, and maybe Slaanesh doesn't have the most armor on their single entities, so he doesn't care. But as Blood Penguin will tell you, the real reason you want Alberic is the Braid. Plus 12 bonus versus large and leadership for everyone around him, plus Strider. It's one of the best items in the game, according to Blood Penguin. And Blood Penguin plays a heck of a lot of Bretonia, so I'll trust him. Didn't Ryder win his game? No, Ryder lost on the Greenskins. He lost to the Wood Elves? No, 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 you have a point. Ryder, why didn't anybody call me out on this? You degenerates? You fools! Ryder won. He was playing Wood Elves that game, and when I marked it off wrong, no one said shit. Ryder won. And then attack speed still won. All right, wow. So the Swiss are up against it still. They needed to win that last game. Why didn't you tell me? God. I'm so mad at you, chat. You're right. You're right. Random chatter popping in. Ryder did win. Actually, was that Max? I mean, Max would know. Yes, Ryder won his game, Max. You're right. You're so right, and I'm so wrong. My brain was thinking that Ryder was the Greenskins because he was on a team with Gotrek, and I know Gotrek hangs out with the NC guys, and the NC guys like Greenskin. Whatever. Is Sonic the Hedgehog Slaanesh aligned? Yeah. But not for the speed thing. He's actually just into some weird stuff. Anyway, for the rest of Bretonian build, now that I'm not distracted by my own failures, we have Foot Squire frontline, double Grail Relique, and then a bunch of archers and spearmen. With a Beast Caster. No Life Caster, interestingly enough. I mean, Flock of Doom is very good, but when I see Bretonia, I'm just used to regrowth spam on Grail Knights. Pope Patty building up a hell of a war chest. So yeah, okay, never mind. If you want America to just clench it out, then you're rooting for Hitman Hippo. But if you want the last game to matter, all of a sudden you're a Bretonia fan. Human Boy sucks at this. Hey, Autumn. Hey. Eat my booty. And Sabaticus, I'm just gonna let you go. You win this round. Anyway. All right, we're all Bretonia fans now. Betting it all on Pope Patty. He's got to win so that we care about Sipa versus War God. Because honestly, if Hitman Hippo wins it and it's just a 3-1 to America, I'm just shutting the stream off. I don't give a fuck. I'm not casting the last game. I don't care. Enough mad ramblings of nonsense. Looks like we ride. Bretonia captured their third point very, very slowly. It took them quite a while to walk over to that corner. Meanwhile, Slaanesh, just being faster, got double caps. Hippo Knights are here. Hippo Knights with bonus versus large from being with Alberic. Though there's nothing large for them to really hunt down right now. I guess we have a Fiend. About it. Other than that, Slaanesh is just infantry spamming for now. They have built up 2,000 supplies as well, so maybe they're holding in reserve for some Pleasure Seekers or something. Or a double Seeker summon. Curious what they'll end up doing. Oh, it's Sign of Depravity. When I saw that effect, I thought they Pavaned him pretty early, but does not seem to be the case. Bretonia firing into the Chaos Warriors. 100 armor and silver shields will keep them mostly safe from the archers, but some of the damage will eventually get through, and the Bretonians are just taking the free value while they can get it before the game gets chaotic. Hey, I was right! There's Pleasure Seekers! Pleasure Seekers are out. So the Hippogriff Knights are now going to have to play a weird game of chicken, where if they land first, the Pleasure Seekers will countercharge them and get a crap ton of damage, and it'll be a horrible time for Bretonia. But if the Pleasure Seekers charge in first and the Hippogriff Knights get to charge in, then the Pleasure Seekers are going to die very quickly, and it'll be a great time for Bretonia. So both sides have an incredibly expensive cav piece, and neither side can commit it first. So meanwhile, it's down to the Foot Squires and Archers to try and deal with these Chaos Warriors. Now, unlike the Vampire Counts, who did not have Graveguard with great weapons, we do have Foot Squires here. Foot Squires do have a little bit of bonus versus infantry, and they should be getting buffed up by Grail Reliques, which actually are not in range right now, so the Grail Reliques do need to move up a little bit. Okay, they're right there. Icon of Devotion. Hippogriff Knights got impatient first, and will they suffer the consequences for it? Pavane Overcast is going to rampage them back in right in front of the Pleasure Seekers. Oh no! It could be a disaster! Pleasure Seekers are in. Gonna churn through the Foot Squires and get good damage onto the Royal Hippogriff Knights. Already half HP off that very expensive unit, but it goes both ways. Even the Pleasure Seekers are just getting massacred in this fight because, oh, they're fighting on top of anti-large Foot Squires now due to Alberic's Braid of Bordelot. The Pleasure Seekers are just getting massacred. Oh, it's a disaster. It's a disaster for everybody involved. Pegasus Knights also charging. The Pleasure Seekers not even going to retreat now, just stuck with the Locust of Grace to try and give them more melee defense. Still, the Hippogriff Knights are taking a lot of damage. Now the Pegasus Knights are also joining the fight and taking a lot of damage as the Fiends are getting in there as well. A second Pleasure Seeker is out, and has Alberic gone too far? He almost took out the Herald of Slaanesh, is not able to do it, and he's now desperately trying to get enough time so he can get back up into this guy right in front of those Pleasure Seekers. It's not gonna happen. Yes, it is, because the Herald does the stupid Warhammer 3 thing where she runs alongside him instead of making contact because she's stupid and dumb. Whew! Alberic barely escapes with his life. Meanwhile, the Fiends are now starting to opt out. Hippogriff Knights and Pegasus Knights are both nearly a spent force, and there is no healing on this Bretonian build, so they are stuck at that HP. But overall, a big win for Bretonia on the early engagements. They're almost 2,000 damage value in the lead, which I know you're going to tell me that that thing is broken, but roughly I agree with it. When you look around, you look at the expensive Slaanesh stuff, it's taking a lot of damage. You look at the expensive Bretonian stuff, it's taking less damage, right? I wonder if human commits to killing the Grail Relic. Oh, Hitman. Yeah. Now, Grail Relics are crazy. Second Pleasure Seeker also getting just deleted by the Bretonian Cav, but it took out a Pegasus Knight with it. Another Pegasus Knight down to half HP, and the Hippogriff Knights are getting super low, but the Pleasure Seekers all look like they're about to die. Archers pouring fire into this area, and we're going to see Demonic Instability start taking them out. In comes something. It looks like that's the Wave Cast, yeah, from Dubro. From Strykar. But there go all the demonic units, all three of them evaporating at roughly the same time. One Pegasus Knight is on their way out. The Hippogriff Knights are down to 3 models and only 700 HP, but there's still Alberic, there's still a half-health Pegasus Knight, and there's Bretonian infantry advantage as they are pushing forward. Slaanesh has been mostly pushed back. Slaanesh has a significant capture point lead due to capturing the points faster and having a double cap for this 7-minute long game. But when Bretonia takes this point, it's still within the realm that they can win off a double cap as long as they hold it consistently. They don't need a triple cap just yet, so it's not really a big deal as long as they keep the momentum, which they have momentum for sure. They now increase that lead to a 3,000 gold lead over Slaanesh, which is pretty significant, broken counter or not. And it's pretty bad. In Dom, value isn't everything. Like, value trading isn't the end-all be-all like it is in land battles and conquests and stuff, because you can summon in things, but it is the end-all be-all when you get significantly behind, because at some point reality is just reality and you can't summon your way out of it. They have more guys on the field than you do. They can take up more space than you can. They can capture more points than you can. There is a point of no return where you get too far behind in value and you're just going to lose, and I think Slaanesh is honestly getting very close to that point. Hitman has 2,200 supplies. I think he's saving up for a third and final Pleasure Seeker summon. I think he's just got to go big. I get it. You're this far behind on value. You don't want to just summon infantry, because infantry are like guaranteed value, right? They're roughly gonna perform as well as they cost, roughly, with a little bit of exception. But there's not like, holy shit, big play, the Chosen with great weapons slowly lumbered forwards and attacked whatever they could because they're so slow and lumbering, right? You need speed to try and make plays to like massively turn a game around. That's why a lot of people do like cavalry, especially at higher levels of play, is it's like more skill expressive. So you can get a 2,000 gold unit and get 4,000 gold out of it, whereas elite infantry, if you spend 2,000 gold, you're gonna get like 2,500 gold. So when you're this far behind, I think Hitman is saving up for some mobility to try and turn this around, is my point. It was rambling, but we got there. Meanwhile, Slaanesh just letting the last of their forces die off as they reconsolidate their forces. They currently just have a Hellstrider and Strykar for really any value, and Bretonia seems happy to clean up the rest of the Slaanesh remnants and reform on point 2. They do have a double cap at this point. Slaanesh is going to have to at some point take a capture point back if they're going to win. But that early lead is nice, buys them some time. Man, Hitman is saving a lot of supplies. I wonder if he's going for some Vanguard play, like he's going to summon like 6 cavalry in the Vanguard over here and just sprint to point 3. and try and take that. Could try and win by dragging Bretonia around the map. This massive centerpiece of infantry and Grail Reliques does not move quickly at all, so his capture weight's going to be very slow. And Slaanesh generally enjoys taking cav fights, generally. But on the other side, Pope Patty isn't really being fooled, and he also saved up a bunch of money. So now we have 4 knights, one of which is another Hippogriff Knight, and Alberic is still crazy healthy. Slaanesh would have to summon some wild stuff to really get back in it. We do have another Pleasure Seeker back on the field, and Hitman has spent all of his funds, so it does look like he's going for the play we were talking about. He summoned a bunch of things all on this flank, and he's just going to run over and try and capture point 3. And most of Bretonia's advantage can't join. This is just too slow. It's not going to get here in time. So he is counting on, ooh, also a ballsy rampage. But he's counting on reducing the advantage of his opponent because all of this money advantage Bretonia has isn't going to participate. So Hitman Hippo is betting it all on the side engagement. That's roughly even. Roughly, right? A lot closer than the overall state of the battle is. Rampage does bring Alberic down to the ground, but it brings him to the ground in a disadvantageous position for Slaanesh to try and catch him. It looks like they're going to go for it anywhere. They're going to go for the Lord Snipe, but this is incredibly risky because if Alberic can hold for just a second, Knights of the Realm are going to get a free rear charge onto the Pleasure Seekers, and we have Hippogriff Knights coming in as well. Hitman Hippo is desperate, and I can feel it as there comes the engagement, and it is not going to be worthwhile for these Pleasure Seekers. Sure, they almost kill Alberic, but they're going to get wiped out, and they're the last hope for Slaanesh in this game, honestly. There they go. Pleasure Seekers are down. Alberic incredibly wounded, but does survive. Meanwhile, we had Knights Errant get blended by the Hellstriders and Fiends and Strykar, so that is a good engagement for Slaanesh. Now these Knights of the Realm are going to follow quick behind, but second Knight of the Realm, second Hippogriff Knight, also going to dive down and get the rear charge in. I think this is the death knell for Slaanesh. Slaanesh did capture point 3 briefly, so they do have that double cap still ticking up. Hippo's not done yet, not giving up, and he got a lot of gold damage value back with this little side play. So I do think the side play was the way to go. I do think it was smart, but I don't think it was enough. Like, this doesn't look like it's gonna go Slaanesh's favor in the long run. And yeah, obviously the center's not, because there's a shit ton of peasants there. 2 more Knights of the Realm are summoned to back up the Bretonian lines. Meanwhile, we have another Fiend coming in, but I'd rather have 2 Knights of the Realm than 1 Fiend coming to help me out. I don't know about you guys. And Strykar is still fighting it out, has almost gotten rid of that Knight of the Realm, but we do have a 2/3 HP Royal Hippogriff Knight here, and the Slongors are about to retreat. Super close to dead. Herald of Slaanesh is just going to opt out, back off, and Alberic was a bunch of value for Slaanesh to get back in the game on a counter on the side of my screen, but like, him not being dead means Bretonia's leadership isn't down, and he could fly above them. I think he's worried about a rampage, but he could fly above them and offer that anti-large, so damage on him is good, but definitely needed him to be dead. Royal Hippogriff Knights might get finished off by the Fiend as the Herald jumps back in. She probably has her defensive thingy, the physical resistance, whatever, coming in soon. Otherwise, she wouldn't commit to the fight. Yeah, there it is. Locus of Grace. Good play, trying to keep the Fiends in the fight as they're dealing with the Hippogriff Knights, but now you have 2 full health Knights of their own flanking them. The Slongors are out, Strykar's out, and Bretonia has recaptured point 3. We're still at about that 3,000 gold deficit. Still. And where are we at now? So Slaanesh needs 300 tickets to win. Bretonia needs almost 600. Holy shit. If both sides just went AFK and we let this tick up, I actually don't know who wins. I need to do quick math, and that's too quick of math. What up, Attack Speed Enjoyer? How you doing? I just cast your game. We just cast your game, brother. It was the game before this one. I won't spoil it for you how it went, but you were there, so you probably know. All right, I'm gonna pause and do the quick maths because I actually want to know. Let's wait for a nice even number, but I want to know what the stakes are. If Bretonia just has to hold their 2 points, or if they need to triple cap, because I'm actually confused. Slaanesh is trying to make a play. They're trying to get over here and capture this point. Bretonian spears have moved off, so there is more of a chance they could actually cap. All right, so roughly 1,000, right? Roughly 1,000. So it's going to double take. They need 250 to win because it's doubled, so it's 500. And then 250 plus the other side isn't quite. So Bretonia tech just barely just barely needs to hold on to a double cap. They don't need a triple, but that side play from Hitman almost, it was 1 or 2 ticks of extra points away from making Bretonia need a triple cap, which actually could turn this game around for sure, because Bretonia's actual capture rate is so fucking slow that if you put a bunch of Chaos Warriors in front of him like he is, they couldn't push forward. But 1 or 2 ticks extra would have changed the parameters for how to win this game and give Slaanesh a lot more of a chance. If Bretonia had to triple cap, I give them like a 60% chance of winning. Now that Slaanesh has to take territory back, I give Slaanesh like a 15% chance of winning. So that 1 or 2 extra ticks reduced my perceived, which I'm spitballing it, fair, I'm not exactly a mathematician, but roughly their chances to win got cut in half by 1 or 2 ticks on that point over there, so that's pretty significant. Anyway, Heritable Slaanesh is in here trying to take out one of the Grail Relics, get a little bit of value. She's crazy low on HP, but he just needs any damage he can get. As Fiends are leading a bunch of Bretonians around, that is a lot of anti-large knights chasing the Fiends. They're not feeling too good about that. Slaanesh's infantry would beat the Bretonian infantry, but there's just so much support, because again, I know this counter is a little fraudulent, but if you just use your eyes and look around, it also looks like Bretonia has a hell of a lot more units on the map. So these Devoted Marauders, the Slongors, aren't going to just get to grind through Bretonian peasants. They're also going to get rear charged by Knights of the Realm and stuff, so it's looking pretty bad. Hellstrider's going to jump in onto these Fiends. The ticks are getting very close, but we did the math, and we know that Bretonia just has to hold this point, and they're doing that with gusto. The only way for Hitman to win is somehow a super sneaky play where he gets back here, instantly annihilates the Spearman in Arms, and captures that point to turn this around, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. As Fiends are stuck fighting Pegasus Knights and Knights around them, they're doing pretty well in that. Chaos Furies are out with significant armor piercing. They are good against Knights, especially if they get the charge. Head of Slaanesh is running over, probably has another Locus of Grace if she is committing to a fight this low on HP. I imagine she would only do that to buff up her Fiends, who are getting hit with a Flock of Doom. But she's in here. Hasn't quite cast any spells yet. Nice Herald charge. Hellstrider in charge, not that Herald charge. Oh, charge was okay. Tiny infantry hold, thanks to those Grail Relics. And there's the Locust of Grace. Pegasus Knights come flying in, rear charging the Hellstriders and the Fiends. Fiends barely clinging to leadership. Demonic instability is upon them. Hellstriders getting absolutely whooped on, and the tickets just keep going up. Ticket, ticket, ticket. Furies with a beautiful rear charge on the Pegasus Knights. So you rear charge me, then I rear charge you, and then you rear charge me. But don't worry, I'm sure there's another rear charge coming in from somebody. But it's just not enough. Neither side has enough momentum to knock the other one off of any points, so we were at a stalemate, and that means Slaanesh loses. It looks like the points got low enough that Hippo could do the math on his own and realize that he's not going to win on a single point. Crazy close, though, because now, again, think back to when I said 60-40 Bretonia, right? In that imaginary situation where Hippo had a double cap from his flank, right? And then Bretonia took it back, and it was 1 or 2 ticks away from him needing a single cap. If he had gotten those 1 or 2 ticks, and Pope Patty had to take his second point, now that we see how the game played out, hindsight, Slaanesh probably would have won. Like, now, fair. There's fair criticism of that claim of mine, that Patty would have played a little differently with his knights if he knew he had to take space and he knew he had to take point 1 rather than just defend point 2. Fair, and I hear that criticism, but we saw how well the Fiends were doing, and then the Hellstriders and the Furies. The Fiends and them were trading pretty well with the knights. Not winning, but they were trading well. And the Bretonian infantry were having a very tough time getting through the remnants of the Slaanesh infantry. So the infantry wouldn't have been there. And they were not going to make it to point 1. So then the game becomes, can the Bretonian Knights get enough capture weight without dying? Can they get enough capture weight on point 1 to get the triple cap? So, and with hindsight, I honestly don't think they could have. So that game actually did come down to 2 ticks of a point. And that's crazy considering how fucking far behind Hippo got. Like, he was very far behind in the mid game. So that was a hell of a scrap back. Nice job, dude. Nice job. Pope Patty claimed the win. Honey, I'm home, and great Scott, are those Frenchmen flying? Yeah. All right, great game, brother. Great game. Let's pull up the thing, and I'm gonna get the score right this time. So it did come down to game 5. It is all on the line. The Swiss dominated domination, and the Americans conquered the conquest. But land battles, it's anybody's game. Sipa versus War God. Now, to set this up a little bit, because some people watching this are domination players, Sipa is currently by titles. Now, I'm gonna say why by titles matters, but by titles, he is currently the second best player in the world behind Alfredino in land battle / conquest. It used to be Berserk. Berserk either won or got second in a lot of tournaments in a row for like 2 or 3 years. And then he kind of just fell off, not skill-wise, but like the tournaments I was casting, it felt like he was either disrespecting his opponents or he was bored with Warhammer, because he was taking factions that were generally not considered meta, and he was taking builds that were generally not considered super strong, and kind of just kept outplaying people. But then versus players of Sipa and Alfredino's caliber, that wasn't working anymore. So in Faction Wars and in Vermin League playoffs, he would get like 4th or 5th or 6th or whatever, because he would like get knocked out by either Sipa or Alfredino or maybe Sagos or other top tier players early on. So Sipa usurped his spot as second best in the world. And then Sipa's been telling me in DMs that he has not been playing much and he feels washed up. So it's like, all right, which Sipa are we going to get? Because if it's second best player in the world Sipa, War God's in some serious trouble. But if Sipa's washed up, War God's a grinder, dude. He's always playing. So he's certainly very skilled. I think if Sipa is in form, I would say War God's in serious trouble. But if Sipa's washed, like, I would give the series to War God, just because I know he knows the meta, and I know he's up on his micro and stuff because he's always fucking playing. So I don't know. It really depends on what form of Sipa we get, how this game is going to go. I'm intrigued. I shouldn't say I'm intrigued, though, because I do know who wins because I coordinated them with the next round. They're currently playing their next round games. I haven't seen any of these games before, so I didn't know who won until this point, but now I technically do know who wins because I know which team wins, but I've never seen the game before. So let's get into it. That's funny. I already know if Sipa is washed or not by the results of this. That's funny. I didn't realize I knew that, but now I get to know if my boy's washed. An hour already passed. I missed the whole thing. Close. I mean, we're on our last game. Yeah, these streams go fast and furious. They're meant to be easily consumable for people who just want to click on 1 or 2 matchups for if they either care about the country or they care about the players or whatever. All right, last game's up. Sipa on the Chaos Dwarves, betting it all versus War Gods, Warriors of Chaos. For Sipa, we have Zatan the Black, which is generally considered a meme lord. Does have sadistic snare, so he's got his net. And then we have, for a caster of fire with fireball and cascading fire cloak, a front line of goblin laborers, 4 blunderbusses, yes, 4 blunderbusses, 3 infernal guard fireglaves, and then hobgoblin sneaky gets 4 of them as well. On the other side, for War God, we have Zarthoriel the Everwatcher with both of his melee buffs and debuffs. Then Plague of Rust and Final Transmutation, nice and simple. Chaos Chariots and Blood Beasts of Khorne for some armor piercing and some anti-infantry stuff. We do have a Hell Cannon that got hit with an overcasted fireball. 2 more of those, and the cannon itself will die. So the Warriors Cats are going to have to do something about that. Then we have some Skirmish Cav with throwing axes in case of trains and a front line of Marauders. So the Hell Cannon is a great pick versus the Chaos Dwarves and is going to do a lot of damage, though it seems like Sipa was aware of this danger and the Fireball Caster is really a big problem. Again, if he gets 2 more overcasted Fireballs, this Hell Cannon is a useless unit. And there comes the second one. Someone has to do something. They have to stop that Demon Sorcerer from firing 1 more Fireball. Either Sartorial has to go attack him, which is suicide. I'm not saying that's smart because he's going to be in front of like a shit ton of blunderbusses, right? And he'll die. I get that. But someone somehow has to get their bodies in front of him so the next Fireball hits them instead of the Hell Cannon. Otherwise, this unit's just fucking toast. The blunderbusses are teeing off on the Marauders, and now that I know that the Fireball is here, this is actually incredibly concerning, because this forces the Chaos Warriors to just opt into really tough situations. These are the blunderbusses doing incredible damage to the chariots. And this Chaos Dwarf build is made of glass. If you get into the back line and shut down their shooting, their damage falls off of a cliff. But man, if you don't get back there, the damage is insane. As our first net is out onto the Blood Beasts of Khorne, the Infernal Guard with their Fireglaives, getting more measured damage than their Blunderbuss cousins. The Blunderbusses just do so much damage in a burst. It's almost like they have shotguns, shotgun-like damage. I still see Hell Cannon shots occasionally, so it does not seem like that third and final Fireball has come in yet. Oh, yes, it just did as I was talking. Wah, wah, wah. Hell Cannon's dead. So Thoriel chucks out a final transmutation overcast onto Zatan as his skirmish cav come in as well to try and shut down. Warriors of Chaos are in the back line. They have successfully shut down some of the shooting, but some is not all, and I am very concerned about their chances of victory now. Hell Cannon is gone. One flank is opened up, and if one flank is open, that means a couple shotguns are ready to unload. Let's see who these guys are going to shoot at. Looks like they're currently shooting at Sartorial. I wouldn't be surprised if they switch their attacks onto the Blood Beasts of Khorne, as these blunderbusses are going to rip apart some skirmish cav over the shorter heads of their brethren. Say goodbye to your Marauder Horsemen. One volley is half their HP. Another volley will be the rest. The Infernal Guard with their halberds also holding quite nicely. Zatan is just chasing around Sartorial, and he does have a silencing aura because of his Lamasu mount. So he is stopping Sartorial from using any of his melee buffs or debuffs, stopping any Plague of Rust or anything like that. The blunderbusses turn towards the oncoming Blood Beasts of Khorne. Take a bit of damage, but they do eventually get in there. Fireball's going to hit them in the back. Knocks out one model. We have these Infernal Guard. I mean, there's just so much shooting. That Hell Cannon getting shut down was really brutal, because imagine it was still just raining in fire right now. Or if it wasn't under threat, then the Warriors of Chaos could have delayed their advance until the Hell Cannon took out more models, but they were forced to charge forward before they were ready, and the guns of the Chaos Dwarves were still very healthy and just knocked them all out. Blood Beast trying to sandwich in this Infernal Guard with also a Chariot, but all of them are so low on HP that Zatan's probably going to be able to push them away. For the Warriors of Chaos, we have a couple Blood Beasts left. We have a couple Marauders left who are all very damaged, but most of their balance of power is in Sartorial. Whereas for the Chaos Dwarves, Zatan's actually at half HP, so he's not feeling too good. But most of their balance of power is in all their guns that are still alive and well. In comes another final transmutation overcast onto Zatan. It's going to do significant damage. I don't think it'll kill him, though. And that's going to be the problem for Sartorial. If this comes down to the late game in the status it's currently in, which it seems like it's going to, he's going to only be able to shut down one gun at a time, and the other 6 guns are all just going to turn towards him. So it's pretty tough for Sartorial to carry this game. Some brave Marauder Horsemen are shutting down more blunderbusses, and the blunderbusses are not the Infernal Guard with their Fireglaives. They don't have anti-large, they don't have good armor piercing in melee, so it's a decent attempt, but there's only so much they can do. Another net comes out, this time onto Sartorial, as we have Infernal Guard with Fireglaives trying to set up, though they're actually walking past Sartorial right now. A little bit of a whoopsie there, but we still have some blunderbusses teeing off onto him. Zatan's going to recharge other Blood Beast, but everything for the Warriors of Chaos is now retreating except for Sartorial. That means all of the guns can just get attack orders onto the big bird, and eventually he will die. There's just no way to shut down all these different flaming monstrosities. So it does appear that Sipa is not washed. Not yet. Taking an unconventional build, but with a very clear game plan, and it seems to have worked out quite well for him. Blunderbuss is solid value overall. Fireglaive solid value overall. That is GG. For War God, I understand his plan, but I really think that the Fireball caster, as small of a thing as that seems, I think the Fireball caster really fucked with what he was trying to do. Because look at that. Look at that. How quickly the Hell Cannon died, and it still got 1200 value. If there was no Fireball caster, and it could have gotten off double that damage before the engagement, so 2,400-ish value before you have to charge in, and then it's like, well, maybe some of these blunderbusses are at half models, so they do half as much damage. So your Blood Beasts get in there at 2/3 HP instead of 1/3 HP, and like, that can really turn a game around. So this, like, it kind of looked one-sided, but it actually wasn't. Like, if that guy had Burning Head instead of a Fireball, this game honestly could have gone the other way. It still could have been a simple win. I'm not saying like, oh, without Fireball, he's fucked. But like the Fireball is what made it look not close. And the choice of one spell entirely shifted how the Warriors of Chaos wanted to approach the game. And like really turned a close game into not a close game. All right. So that means we know who did done win it. It's the Swiss. America loses one of our 4 teams, though, as you can see from the bracket, we are well represented in this. We have a USA 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we already saw USA 4 beat Great Britain, so we know we have at least one of our teams in the quarterfinals. But we do not have 2 in the quarterfinals, as the Swiss will barely knock out USA 1 Last Alliance. I'm hoping to stream 2 more of these tomorrow. I skipped these 2 because I was going to cast them in times that are more friendly to the EU. So I figured since we're casting late at night, I would at least cast a game that has a US team in it so that people in this time zone feel more invested. But yeah, tomorrow in a European time zone, we'll cast Netherlands versus CB/Russia, and we'll cast Germany versus ODM/France. So we'll do those. Cards on the table. USA 2 is my team. We have 1 game left to play versus Visegrad, so that series isn't actually done yet. I believe we're going to play that game tomorrow. But other than that, every other team is actually in the quarterfinals, and it actually is fighting. So we'll keep casting those games. All right, that's it for tonight. Go enjoy Turin's stream. I believe he's either already started or he's about to start. Let's go take a look at Turin's stuff. Upcoming tournament in about 3 hours. YouTube live, it's Turin time. I mean, there's 223 people sitting here, so I don't know. Has he not started? He's started. He's started. You guys should go get over there. Go say hi to Turin. Tell him Human Boy sent you with my whopping 34 concurrent viewers. GG's. Later, Gators.